The following video may contain some spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, I am Sacrobolic, your envoy of hope. Welcome to Shouting Through the Chorus, and Clockwork Planet is dumb. In the first 5 minutes, it's explained that the Earth ran out of time, and everyone was going to die until they were saved by the clocksmith Y, who created the titular Clockwork Planet. Immediately, my mind was flooded with 100 questions. Why did Earth run out of time? What does that mean? If the world ended, how were there any people left? Did Y build the entire Clockwork Planet by himself? If not, how did a clocksmith convince the world to let him save it? If the world was out of time, how did he have time to build the Clockwork Planet? Who are the protagonists fighting in this opening scene? Where did all of this metal come from? What is this gear connected to, and what could it possibly do? Throughout the 12 episodes of this series, almost none of these questions are answered, and the ones that are can be pretty much summed up with the phrase, "Why is fucking magic?" Only a few moments later, we learn that the main character Naoto can't fix a clock, but is then immediately able to fix a robot built by Y by tightening a screw. And he detected this problem through sound, which brings up the question, why can't he hear what's wrong with a regular clock? The robot Ryuzu asks him how many gears are in her body, and it is here we learn that Naoto's hearing isn't just good, it's blatantly magic. As he quickly answers back, 4,107,600,008,643. Now, if you don't know how large of a number that is, let me put it to you like this. If you were to count to this number and you took 1 second to say each number, making no blunders along the way, it would take you over 130,164 years. At that point, it was pretty obvious that this was going to be a dumb show, and I should just strap in and enjoy the ride. And I would have, if the show didn't start pretending it was smart. It is revealed that Ryuzu is capable of moving through imaginary time. Now, I'll admit, I'd never heard of imaginary time before. So when this was revealed, I left and came back with as good of an understanding as I was able to get with the limited information I was able to find. But basically, it's just time that runs perpendicularly to regular time. How this would work in reality, I'm not quite sure, but I think it would work kind of like this. Now, I won't pretend I know for certain that's how it would work, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't look like a big white box with strings hanging down that you can get tangled up in. Later in the series, when it is revealed that pretty much any electromagnetic radiation causes the gears to stick, even those from a simple radio, when a robot shows up that attacks with EM radiation, the robot girls manage to avoid breaking by raising their bodies to the Curie temperature. Now, unlike imaginary time, I already knew about Curie temperatures, and because of that, I could tell that this scene was complete bullshit. First off, EM radiation travels at the speed of light, which means that the first chance they had to respond to this attack was after it had already hit them. But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem was because Ryuzu couldn't cool herself down, Naoto had to drag her away. Seeing this, I looked up the Curie temperature of iron. Apparently, it's 1,417 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 769 degrees for you Celsius people. Now, I'll leave it to your imagination to figure out what happens if a person were to try and hold something that hot for an extended period of time, but I can guarantee you'd get more than just a few minor burns. Now, you could be thinking, maybe they're made of a material with a really low Curie temperature, which is possible, I guess, but that just brings up the question that if Y was going to go that far, why not just make them out of a non-magnetic material, like aluminum? Or plastic. Or literally anything. Okay, so Clockwork Planet is dumb. But is that the only problem with it? Of course not. Every arc has the same plot. The military is corrupt and is trying to kill a large number of their citizens for no real reason. At one point, they mention that the reason they're testing out an EM radiation weapon is that they're trying to get an advantage in a battle against other countries. But they never tell you which countries, or why they need this advantage. And then there's the main character, Naoto, who is completely unlikable. All of his in-show accomplishments are done through magic, and not through any skill of his own. There's even a scene where the character himself realizes this, and I think it was meant to parallel Marie, who we'll talk about later, But in his case, it's introduced out of nowhere and is dismissed just as fast. He's also an asshole in every scene, and not even in a funny way. He just goes around taunting everyone and not taking things seriously. But his worst transgression is when the ambiguously evil military tries to let 20 million people fall down a pit and die, and he refuses to do anything until he's bribed with a robot loli. The robot girl has problems too. Besides looking like every anime goth girl you've ever seen, she's also horribly inconsistent, going from harsh and ill-mannered to nice and sweet multiple times in the same scene. It honestly feels like they tried to make a tsundere and messed it up. There's also this mercenary Vermouth, who's introduced as this badass, but after almost dying, has his consciousness transferred into a literal sex robot, and after that begins acting like a sultry woman. This has some weird implications, because it means that either he was acting like this the whole time, he's just playing around for the time being, which means he'll inevitably get tired of this body, or when they transferred his consciousness, they destroyed his personality, and he's now just a sex robot. Regardless, it's clear that this situation was just made to have a slutty blonde girl in action scenes. So, does Clockwork Planet have any redeeming features? Will Vaney's kinda cool, but he doesn't show up much. The opening and ending themes are nice, but that doesn't really make the show better. If I had to compliment one aspect of the show, it's that there are actually two main characters. Almost as if someone realized Naoto is a piece of shit. The other main character, Marie, is actually likable. She's nice, grateful, actually worked to develop her skills, and isn't willing to let 20 million people die. She even sacrifices her good name at one point for the greater good. Here's the thing. Have you ever watched something that would be terrible if not for one character that redeems the whole show? Yeah, well, Marie isn't one of those characters. Don't get me wrong, I do like Marie, she's great, but she's surrounded by so much crap that she can't bring it up alone. What's more is that although she's likable, I can't help but feel she'd be just a likable side character in a better show. Ultimately, Clockwork Planet is a dumb show with poorly defined villains, repetitive plot lines, unlikable characters, and few redeeming features. But it doesn't do anything too egregious, so I can't say I actively dislike it either. It's just a waste of time all around. So I give Clockwork Planet a 4 out of 10 and recommend it to, gear fetishists. Anyway, I've been Sacrobolic, your envoy of hope, and this has been Shouting Through the Chorus. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye!